What do you understand by equality, Sophie? What does it mean to you?
Freedom.
Can you be more... Is it equality of opportunity? Is it equal pay across the board? Is it something more than that?
I think equality is better for everyone. I think,
okay.
you know, I'm really delighted, you know, I love my job because it's an optimistic and a hopeful job, which is about creating more choices for people. I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
Aha, well, so you're going to have choices and equality of outcome. What if people choose different things, which is what they've been doing in Scandinavia? So the Scandinavian countries have moved more towards gender equality than any other countries, and the personality differences in Scandinavia have increased rather than decreased, and the proportion of women who are choosing STEM fields has decreased rather than increased. So as cultures become more gender neutral, the number of women who choose STEM fields decreases.
What do you mean by STEM fields?
So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you let men and women make their choices, what actually happens is that they specialize in different situations, and you don't get equality of outcome.
Could they not have been programmed to have those views from the moment we raise them and give boys Lego and construction?
No, because what happens is that as countries get more egalitarian, which means there's less programming of that sort, the differences get larger, not smaller. And the scientific data on that is clear, and most of it was generated by people who have a left-leaning bias, so you can't blame it on conservative scientists. It was a shock to everyone to find that out.
Sophie,
I think the difference between Jordan and me is that we look at evidence and we lean towards different theories. So Jordan's theory is very much evolutionary, you know, that there are inherent differences in men and women. Mine is very much more social role theory, if you like, and that men and women are taking on different roles due to the expectations that society puts on them. And it's interesting that Jordan frequently cites Scandinavian countries where they've made more, like there's nowhere in the world that women are equal, but Scandinavia has made the most progress towards shared parenting, etc.
Yep.
That said, it's not done yet. There's nowhere in the world where this is done yet.
But it's having the opposite effect that the gender equality types predicted. Opposite, not the same. And it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
So what I'm interested in is data and analysis as well, and I'm particularly interested in the ones presented, such as the ones by the University of Southern California, which discovered that change towards gender equality is actually being slowed by beliefs that are legitimizing social inequalities on the basis of sex. And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years. And its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership. But what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's my fault.
So, no, well, you know, you're leaving soon. It's okay.
Men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities in the humanities and social sciences are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours, they work more dangerous jobs, they're more likely to move, they're more likely to work outside, they're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable, they make more money for those reasons, and that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to
Michael,
address
I just going to say, Sophie, can you come back on that?
What I'm trying to equalise is opportunity and choice.
Fine, let's
I-
equalise
and I-
choice.
You agree
and I
on
think
that.
But we won't get equal outcome that way.
And I think that what happens then,
And we're not mentioned at all in the contract with Black America. And I
You are
want to know,
mentioned. I mean, when you mention Black people, you mentioning Black women. So
Oh,
don't count yourself
no,
out. Yes,
that's
you
not
are.
true.
That's like administration say that when they
Black
mention
people is not
minorities,
Black
they
women.
mention
That's
Black
true.
women are not included in Black people.
No,
Come on,
it's
ladies.
like,
Yeah,
no,
it
that's
is.
what
Yeah,
you're
it
saying.
is.
But that's like, you know, that's like you saying,
Black.
that's like when the president says minorities, then he's including Black people. But we all know that that's not the case. Black women have specific needs that are not also being met. And we also feel that there should be some things that are specific to us and our plight as well. And
I understand that.
I feel like as a Black man, you can lead.
No.
I feel like
Well,
you
I just offered y'all to write a section up for it. I just said
I'm here for that.
I don't mind if you
Well,
guys
that's
help
all
us.
Oh,
If you
okay.
guys help us write a section. No, I've been open to all kind of experts in putting this together. It wasn't just me. We dealt with experts in all fields of this contract with Black America. So we're willing to deal with experts in the section when it comes to women. So that's no problem.
Okay,
I'll help you write it. I'll help you write it if
I don't know how to put my mind on it, but you
Close your
resemble.
eyes and go in there and get it out of your heart, not out of your head.
You resembled something that I was used to,
Which is?
which was being belittled and bullied, pushed around.
Okay, tell me.
I'm mad and angry for letting you bully me around and push me around.
And how I experienced you is?
How I experienced you was mean,
Speak that.
hurtful, and
Yeah.
painful. And you became like an enemy to me.
And it reminded me of.
During the holiday season and throughout the year, honestly, usually the Black woman in the family are the ones that hold it down. What are your thoughts on Black women being the matriarchs of the family?
Well, can we go a step further? The Black women are the matriarchs of America. Look what Black women just did in this election.
Right.
So,
That's right.
you know, I would be nowhere without Black women. I was raised, my father died when I was 9 years old of a heart attack when he was 36. And so I was raised by my mother, my grandmother, and my grandmother's 7 sisters. So I was truly raised by a coalition of Black women. And I can tell you that I would not be the man that I am without them. And so I do believe that that Black women are the matriarch.
I think Black women are the strongest species on this planet because of a lot of the things that y'all have had to endure and go through from everybody else on this planet. Can I get an amen?
Amen. A double amen.
Church.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, you know, and how they're perceived or whatnot, how come we don't give our Black mamas even more respect than they deserve? Man? What do you think?
Shit, I do.
There we go, Donnie. I like that. But sometimes I feel like we expect them to love on us so hard that, you know, we kind of take it for granted sometimes. And it's not the right thing to do. But I think that, you know, when people love on us so much, you just expect them to do it regardless. So you move how you want to move, not knowing that, you know, one day they may not be here anymore and you can't take that time back. So I think it's just important to take a step back and realize, you know, that our moms and the Black in our lives are here to protect us, to love on us, and we got to show them that same respect because they deserve it, and they're not getting it in the outside world either. So if we give it to them at home, you know, that's all that they need.
Did y'all appreciate it when you were younger though, or did you start to appreciate it more as you got older, like I did? Older.
Hey man, I appreciate mine. So I remember my mom she had to catch the bus home at 12 o'clock midnight. Boy, I used to meet her at the bus stop every night at 12 o'clock midnight. You know what I mean? Make sure she got home, man. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, man, it's just when it comes to my mama, boy, you know, I don't play. You know, man, that's the only, it's like, it's just a part of you, just inside of you that you love her so much, man, because to see all the things she went through, raising kids, growing up in the ghetto, you know, I mean, trying to do her best, man. We all got to praise our mothers to the fullest, man. If we don't, use a sucker. You know what I mean? You got to love your mama. Don't be talking about your mom. The Bible says, honor your mother and your father, or your days will be short on this earth. So we, as black men and women, we gotta honor our fathers and our mothers, but our mamas, man, we gotta take care of them to the fullest, man.
There was I looked it up, CDC, not CDC, but census. 70% of black kids grow up with just their mom raising them. Doesn't mean the father's not involved, but single moms raising their black kids around. But married black mothers, when there's two parents in the house, you still know who's in charge, especially when it comes to raising the kids. Like, did anybody else grow up with I had my mom and my stepdad or whatever, but 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 my stepdad or whatever.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
But when it came to raising me, I knew who was the boss. Go ahead. You
I have my mom. My father, he passed away 2 years ago. Rest in peace. But in the house, primarily, he was the boss. But my aunt who raised me, she was and still is the boss now. So whenever I'm going through anything, I call her up. She'll tell me what to do. She'll tell me what's up. And that's who owns me to this day.
Shout out to black mothers, but a super shout out to black grandmamas. Whatever you call them, my dear, big mama, mama, whatever you want to call them, black grandmothers really ran everything. Because my grandmother, Lillian, I mean, the salt of the earth, I mean, just love her to death. I learned a lot from my mom, Linda Eaton, but at the same time, Lillian Gillis gave me the quality of life that I wanted to have at a younger age, made me feel like I could achieve anything I wanted to and never settle for anything less. And my stepdad or whatever, but
as a black woman, you know, I'm a loud, very proud, very obnoxious black woman. And I want my children to harbor that same pride. But I also have to give credence to their white side because they have white as well. But it's like,
you have a child with him?
Yes.
That's not your child. That's both of your child. No, just a second. That child is both of yours. So either you take the child or he takes the child. He's the father no less than you're the mother. So,
because then he told me he was going to take Lila with him at 1:30 in the morning.
Just a second. So he said, if I'm going to leave my house, if you're telling me to leave the house, I'm going to take my daughter with me.
Even though I have sole legal custody of her?
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No. At that point, are you telling me you had a court order giving you legal custody of your child? The answer is no.
No.
So at that point, you're the mother, he's the father. He has as much right to take that child as you do.
That's not what I've been told, but...
Well, if you've gotten different advice, you were mistaken.
Okay.
In this country, fathers are not second-class citizens. I know there are a lot of people out there, including judges and probation officers, who still don't get that message, but fathers are not second-class citizens. Sometimes they're actually better parents. Not always. Sometimes it's 50-50. But it's on a case-by-case basis. But anybody that says to me, can't take my daughter with him, it's not yours. It's both of yours. You made her together.
You say that you don't see the man that your son is. So I'm asking you, since this is not a demonstration of a man, you need to tell me what man you're using to measure him with. Which one?
My idea.
Which is your idea. Now, is that the idea you trained him up to be?
No.
Oh. So how in the blazing bejesus are you holding him accountable to a standard that you didn't teach him, his father didn't give him, he don't even know what it is, and yet as his mother, you sit in his face and tell him you don't respect him as a man? Tell me how that works. Help me.
Like I said, it was events. It wasn't just.
I'm talking about
and it's
one thing.
also how he treats me.
Yeah, but I'm
talking.
Wait, hello.
So.
You see, you are a provocative victim. You provoke stuff, and then when you start being held accountable for it, then you start twisting and turning and making the other person wrong. Look at me, Ma. Look at me. Look at me. You just sat here and told your son, who ain't got a needle in his arm, who I'm assuming pays his own rent. He's married to a registered nurse. He's got 3 baby boys. And you just sat here in his face and said, I don't respect him as a man. Mm-hmm. And you don't think to consider what that does to his heart, to his soul, to his spirit.
I'm sure that's hurtful.
And you okay with that?
And it's hurtful for the things that he says.
But there you go, you're doing it. You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. I'm holding you accountable and you spinning your web. You're trying to get away. You're trying to get away. Tell me, just here's the question. Just answer it. We'll get back to that other stuff later. Tell me.
Forgive me, I respect him. He's a wonderful man.
Do you understand that your mouth, your voice, your words are connected to the coils in his heart, to the valves in his heart? He can't help but love you. And every time you dishonor that love, you chip a piece of him, chip a piece of him. This is why in our culture as Black people, when the boys turn a certain age, the men come and get him and take him away from the mother because she can emotionally manipulate him. But since we don't live in our culture no more, we say what we want to say, do what we want to say. We tear our men down and then wonder why they don't make good husbands and fathers. Mothers destroy sons. His mother can speak to him in certain ways that destroy him in ways that can never be repaired.